here is already here. So I'm going to talk about the trend in lightings as well as the decoration tips that you should apply for homes. My name is Jonas from Gorilla X. I have been selling lightings for about 6 years now, and my projects are mostly commercial projects, restaurants, cafe, hotel, commercial projects, and sometimes residential projects. So when we talk about trends, trend basically means that it's something, is a theme that everybody is, most people are doing at the same time, so somewhat is trendy. But trend is very personal. So the trends that I'm going to cover are my observations throughout the years that I've been in the industry. And every time when we meet a client, we always listen to what the client is doing. So when we interview the client, normally we'll ask like, so what is your renovation theme? What are your color palette? Before we can come up with a solution and we provide lamps for the space. So when I first entered the industry, that was about 6 years ago. Mid-century theme was very trendy, and we see probably in my industry I serve a lot of architects, and a lot of them are furniture collectors. They collect iconic pieces from certain era, usually the mid-century era. Over here we can see like maybe this is like a designer's home. They have several artifacts from the mid-century. This is designed in 1960, 1952, 1950 something. So they are collecting old artifacts and then they're putting in their home. So it's more like an eclectic collection of things. But when we talk about mid-century, it's a little bit like a vintage, but more of like a modern touch to it. And then somehow the market somehow spin off to our local vintage. So it's a little bit like Ama house, like kopitiam, that sort of theme, where we have our vintage furniture mismatched with like kopitiam table to create like the kopitiam vibe, and then we have Peranakan tiles. These are the essence that we have. And then for lighting, we observe that there are more people looking for reproduction pieces, not those mid-century big iconic pieces, but things that has a little bit more character, more age. And then next, we have the very big change in interior trend, which is the industrial. The industrial movement took on very easily. Everybody is going and rushing for this thing because it is relatively easy to achieve. Usually when we buy furniture or we renovate our place, there are a lot of things that discourage us. Could be by price, could be by design, or could be the items are not available in the market. So then for industrial themes, it's very easy because most of the items seem somewhat semi-finished. It's not exactly like extremely polished, and cement does have really, really great character. So raw finishes like cement, raw wood somehow seem to be like the theme that everybody is going after. But when you use cement on a large surface, somewhat it feels that the space is very cold. So then the use of very warm lighting become very, very appropriate for such spaces because the cool, extremely cold place need to warm up with some warm lighting. And that is when we found a lot of cafes, restaurants going after this look because it's very affordable. When you take over an empty shop house and then we're gonna renovate the place, I don't have to paint the wall very nice lah. I don't have to relay the floor and make it very pretty. Just something like that, I can pull this off and then just put a couple of like very hipster lamps, and then that is like a very cool cafe or cool restaurant. So then this actually spin off to many styles of industrial, but the one that we're showing over here has a little bit of vintage element into it, and then it's more like a Manhattan loft kind of vibe. And we also notice that with these kind of light bulbs, we strip down all the fancy lamp shades, and then we're going transparent and see-through so that we can see the cages as well as the glass jar and this sort of thing. So for more raw and industrial vibe. And then For homes, I think the minimal approach has always been increasingly in demand. So realistically, for Singapore, perhaps if you are buying HDB, brand new HDB or condominiums, the homes are actually getting smaller and smaller. So with smaller homes, I think like the previous theme of this kind of heavy decoration, this by the way is a resale HDB flat, ridiculously big. It's like extremely luxurious size. But when you look at real apartments, I suppose like a more minimal approach, softer, cleaner walls, white color would definitely make the space bigger. And in fact, we have also noticed that people start hacking down walls, putting up glass partition to make the space look bigger. And then they touch up with industrial pieces to create more character. So it's a very wide space with industrial pieces, lightings of industrial themes to dress up this very clean space. And also in demand during the period of time, there are collectible lamps, like perhaps it's like a lamp from salvage from a shipyard. So they are refurbished, and we also do have several requests for like custom-made pieces that are made out of fan cages, bicycle tires, washing machine drums, just to create that kind of very salvage look, but in an extremely minimal space. Next, from this minimal thing, I suppose everybody is very familiar with what IKEA does. So they are a Nordic company. In the Scandinavian region, generally, they have very long days or very long nights, depending on the time of the year. So over there, a lot of places are white, and that will capture the maximum light and reflect maximum light into the room. So in Singapore, since everybody like the white house, generally these Nordic theme homes seem to apply very easily, and then with IKEA here, I think it's very easy to pull off that look and it's somewhat affordable. So this probably will be 2 years ago. There are a lot of people going for the very rustic Nordic look, perhaps with like a white brick wall texture, cladded with wood panels, but painted over in white. But with a little bit of rustic touches, more like farmhouse kind of vibe. And then also with the rustic look comes with rustic lamps, and because the tungsten light bulb, these exposed lamps are still relatively in demand, it starts to shift its shape to a little bit more raw looking rather than just cage factory kind of lamp. It shifts more to like a more rustic kind of feel that has been used for many years. And with warm light like that, because for white walls it's also quite a cool space, the warm lamp actually creates like a second ambient for the space. With Scandinavian design that grew, I think, in late 2015, many Nordic producers are banging hard on geometric, colorful essence, and for the same rustic home, now we remove some of those rustic features like the brick walls and raw pieces, and then we go smooth with more cleaner furniture and with pop of colors to highlight the space. If the Scandinavian theme has actually spun out to several styles, the geometric one was one of them that is more bold, and then it definitely made into covers of magazine because of this interesting color. Geometry is something that didn't really work very well in Singapore because geometric furnitures are very expensive to make. So there are small group of people who happen to have geometric furnitures, but not a lot. And the closest that we can get is like geometric lamps that were getting popular. It's like an industrial spin-off to be cleaner, more modern, and with more luxurious material like copper, brass, to highlight the opulence of this, rather than it's like a great contrast between the rustic and the minimal. And then recently, the industrial scene has shifted because I suppose if we have a very industrial cafe, probably we would be charging you like a very reasonable price, but you know, like everything is rental is going up, manpower is going up. These people are actually jazzing up their restaurants to make it more upmarket, upscale. perhaps they dressed up the space with more greens. So it's like industrial-ish inspired space with black steel structures, then added in with like the Scandinavian themed materials like light wood with lush plants scattered around the space to make it more lively rather than a very cold industrial space that was previously only lit with very warm lights. Over here, this happened to be a more industrial look, and over here is more of like a Scandinavian look. This, by the way, is a Norwegian owner trying to open a health superfood cafe in Singapore. It just opened in February this year, I think. And we did the space. They have white with cladded wood panels and vertical garden, and with very minimal touches like wood fittings for the lighting, exposed light bulb again with the continuous of the same white colored cord. And then today, the Lux theme is catching up fast because I think materials like copper, brass has found its alternative. Traditionally, copper and brass are more expensive material to be made into like home accessories, but now technology has come with plating, with replacement. So these brass metallic options are getting cheaper, and then we saw more manufacturers producing those, and thus it comes into our homes. Also, they are darkening the color palette now. More people are adapting black, white, greys, but more greys and less white, so that it makes the place much cozier and basically just contrasting precious metal-ish items over a darker surface. So, like what the exhibition here, what we're doing in FutureFair, we're featuring two themes, New Lux and Back to Nature, which actually we saw cafes and homes are lushing up their house with natural elements, with natural wood pieces, and the Lux range has also catch up hard and fast. So, as a trend prediction, we have recently heard about Deluxe coming up with the color of the year, which I think has already been well adopted now. I mean, we are very ready now for darker homes that are on grayer, more masculine color like bluish grey, paired with like very warm and soft furnitures like that. So this would be the 2017 prediction of what the Singapore renovation industry or the interior industry would be heading towards. The second part of my talk is about decoration tips. So based on what we have seen so far, those are just great ideas for renovating your place. It doesn't have to be, everybody should have their own preference, be it industrial or be it minimal or being very masculine with a very dark grey interior. But the decoration tips still has a few key things that you need to address. So perhaps I will talk about something more forward, which is what we should be expecting in 2017. This feature wall color would be a very stable kind of color, a little bit bluish off from the very warm grey hue. This is like a bluish hue. So for us at Gorilla X, we have picked up these key colors that we think that will complement these palettes very well. So maybe I'll just hand out a couple of samples just to show you. This is more close to the denim drift that Deluxe has launched. Maybe we can pass around this color. And then the color palette that we suggest to pair with would have been yellow, obviously white, and hues of grey, in any hues of grey in fact, and black, since that our color palette has already been with using a lot of black essence element. Feel free to pass this around, have a feel of the materials. This actually is the ceiling cover from our lamps. So these are solid colors that will pair really well with the denim drift. And we have wood, but unfortunately I don't have my wood sample here with me, but I'll just show you the rest. So copper is a very warm color that pairs very, very nicely with blue. So maybe you can have a look at this one. Brass, as well as this color I would like to spend a little bit more time talking about it. For bronze or patina finish, I suppose in very modern interiors, very luxe interior, very modern interior, we prefer shinier surfaces like these brass and copper that we're passing around. But in the past, we have observed several big industrial players. They are exploring patina finishes as well, partially because of the social, it's an environmental issue. Because as you plate and lacquer glossy materials, there's actually a lot of chemicals used, more toxic. So the patina finish is actually raw material left undone, naturally oxidized. I see there are quite a lot of Chinese here. If you go temple, right, there's this giant urn with the jaw stick, right? That urn itself was made in solid brass. It was shiny brass like when it's brand new, but over time it starts to oxidize. So the oxidized look has become very, very trendy. We have observed in big brands, fashion apparels, the hardware. Previously they were using shiny, reflective materials, and now a lot of them are using this natural brass finish. So the more you touch, the more glossy it becomes, but the less you use it, the more dull it becomes. So that actually creates a lot of character. So I suppose out of those renovation themes that I spoke about, I suppose the patina finish would have applied better with the rustic element of the more rustic kind of renovation rather than the more polished ones. And then the next one that we see also all over social media are marbles, because marble I have found is way they have better machines now to process marble. So here on the screen I think I put a white marble, but marble exists in many colors. The most popular one would have been white marble and the black marble. So I'll pass this around. It's a little bit heavy, so do be careful with it. The marble goes very well with the metallic hues that we spoke about. Marble with the oxidized finish, and marble with polished copper or gold. So these materials are what we see that will be trending in 2017 as the market progresses. So, like I say, for the neo-luxe look, it was very obvious that we're going to have shiny things to show how opulent the items are. And with the use of marble, with this kind of wall color, it goes very well. I'm not sure if the lighting is good, but this is actually a very dark blue. It's actually a very dark blue piece. So with polished copper as an essence, this would be a more luxurious look to pair with the denim drift. In terms of lighting, it's more or less the same. We always capture the essence of the current trend, and then we put bits and pieces of it into the lamp. So it could be a marble fitted lamp with light bulb or something. For this one, would have been something that's more minimal. And this would be more of the back to nature look where we use more natural wood timbers. You can see how the timber works very nicely with the denim drift as well. So for the lightings that we'll be using, could have been a little bit more rustic, or we can go eclectic with the mixture of modern with very luxe items to be matched down with very natural elements. And the second thing that we want to cover is the importance of lighting for a home. I have chosen this photo because it does exhibit the importance of lighting. We install lightings for several reasons. For its function, obviously, to create ambience, to do highlight, to cover depth and texture. So over here we can tell that like the lamp does its standard function to light up the dining table or whatever, or the living room, but it creates ambience because the indirect light actually lights up the space softly. You could get around the house, but it is a very soft light. This one we have everything turned on now, so you can imagine if I switch off some of them. And then it highlights certain textures and depth. So we can see that the black pieces are more protruded and the depth of all these furnitures are more pronounced with the help of light. And that actually creates a wider space. So for function, this is something that a lot of my customers who come in to our shop didn't really put this in first priority. They know that they are buying a lamp, perhaps for a walkway to the bedroom, or maybe beside a sofa, over a dining table or on a bed. But what they are buying, or what everybody is buying today, they are buying cool things that are pretty, but haven't really put in the thought process of how do you actually apply these lightings into the space. So before you buy a lamp, I will always suggest you have to ask you what are you going to do there. Well, I'm not going to buy a very pretty lamp over a dining table, but it's actually meant for an ambient purpose. Then when I'm having my meal, I have no idea whether my meat is pink or bloody. I cannot find the bones on my fish. I mean, these are not the right way of buying a lamp. What we should do is we should study how we are using the space before we select a lamp that's most suitable for the function. So the second element that we're going to consider is the brightness. So like I said, if you couldn't tell how cooked your food is, then that's not going to serve the purpose of the place. We always recommend people to have always cater for more. So you can have an extremely bright place with two separate switches, two sets of lamps, extremely bright place so that you can find everything in the house in case you drop something on the floor. It could be something very fine, you can find it. But we should never give up the ambience. So then you can have an alternative kind of lighting toggle. I know homes are small, they are working with very small living room, perhaps just these four walls is our living plus dining space. So how are we going to maximize this space? If you have two sets of lighting, it feels like you have two separate rooms. If I were going to switch on this space with white light, it will look like a living room. But if I were to turn on the warm light and switch off the bright light, it seems more like a lounge, dining area, which is more cozy. So actually, playing with two colors of like two separate switches will be able to allow you to exploit the place twice. This is not so clear. I think I have to probably I have to explain to you. I think the lines are not so sharp. So how to select a perfect lamp? Brightness we have already spoke about. The function we have already spoke about. But then what will be the correct size and what will be the correct quantity? This will make a big difference because if we have a very small dining table but we have a massive lamp, that will have create visual drama but have a lot of obstruction because every time we get to the table we're knocking ourselves against the lamp and sort of thing. So how do we choose a perfect size for a dining area? Why I have to highlight the dining area is because for most homes, the dining area is right in the center of the house. So as you enter the main door, probably some houses we can see the dining area. As we get into the room and we come out from the room, we'll bypass the dining area again. So this is the heart of the house. And also, with small homes, a dining table is probably where you can have a hanging lamp. Otherwise, other spaces will be passageway, movable furniture. So dining table happens to be a place that you can have the lamp hanging the lowest, and also when it's hanged at eye level, that would be either a centerpiece or eyesore. So the choice of a dining lamp is the most important element in home interior finishing today. So over here, I'm going to start with the dining table over here. So if the dining table is a larger dining table, we probably have to study. The dining table is actually this faint blue purple line over here. The lamp should not be larger than the dining table. And when we're standing at the dining table, we should have probably about 8 inches away from them. And then if we have a long table, probably we have more lamps. So then we probably have to space them out evenly over the dining table. So that would facilitate the calculation of how many lamps you will need over a longer table. And then if the table is any longer, we probably will have to add one more. And then for other tables such as the living room side table beside a sofa, that's a very small table. Probably the lamp will have to be smaller, or even the bedside table, which is this small little green box over here, which is like probably the size of a small bedside table. So the lamp should never be a large lamp over a very small table. And this one is an industrial, it's like a very professional trade secret, which typically people wouldn't, interior designers would never want to purposely share with you. These are tricks actually. What we saw for condominium show flats, there are complaints about condominium show flat being so nice and big when we visited the showroom, but when we actually received the space, it is that tiny. Then of course there are some rules and regulations that you're not allowed to play tricks like that. So if we do not make the walls slimmer, we do not make the showroom bed shorter, of course mirrors will be the one that everybody has heard of. But now this thing that I'm going to discuss with you is like a trick eye kind of concept. So over here, let me just stand here. Over here, when we line up lamps in a straight row, perhaps over a bar counter or on the dining table, a very long, a semi-long dining table, the straight line actually creates an illusion of length. This line up over here stretches the illusion that the table is actually much longer than what it is. Perhaps this is really probably a 1.8 meter bar counter table, but with 3 lamps on it, it looks like it's much longer and more spacious. So in the condominium show flat, obviously like a studio apartment, they have like a dry kitchen and then they line up 2 lamps or 3 lamps that way. It feels that it's actually deeper, but actually in reality, how many things that you can put on the table remains the same. So these are one of the tricks to line them up in the row to increase depth. Whereas on the second picture over here, cascading them in different height actually creates the illusion of height. And if you realize that what they are actually doing is they are using smaller lamps today. So these are the real issue when we have small houses, small space. We reduce the size of the lamp, but we put more of them. Rather than if I buy a giant lamp over here, that would not achieve that visual illusion that is longer, or in this case, taller. And why I want to have a talk about how to choose lamps is because we see too many buyers in the market today shopping on the internet, buying lightings perhaps from Zalora, Taobao or whatever. We are only buying things that are pretty, but it doesn't really serve a very good function because the price could have been very cheap on buying it. The lamp looks decent and just buy it, but without all this thought process, you could actually buy something that you couldn't apply into the space, or if it's forcefully applied, it doesn't look right, then in the end you change it out. So that actually increases a lot of wastages along the process because these items are actually shipped over to you and they actually incur a lot of carbon footprint. For us, the lightings that we make are taking on a more sustainable approach. We find suppliers that are more sustainable, they use greener process. The lightings that if we have to design our own has to solve issues like what real homeowners are getting. So later if you guys have the time, you can drop by our booth, and then if you are interested to find out more about how green our product is, what kind of engineering methods we use to make our lamps more sustainable, please drop by our booth later. So that ends our presentation. Is there any questions you'd like to anything answer? Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay.
I'm sorry if I missed it, but where did you get the idea for naming your company Gorilla?
Why? Okay. Yeah, business. I do business management, and my uni classes are here. So, guerrilla marketing or guerrilla warfare would mean that we do not take conventional methods to fight a war. We don't go head on with you. You are my enemy. I don't go head on with you. We will do a distraction and an attack from the side or from the back. For guerrilla marketing, we don't use conventional methods to um, advertise to you. We use softer approach, indirect methods. So for us, we are traditionally a lighting company. We do design of products as well, but we do not operate in a very traditional method like opening a shop on Geylang, Balestier, and then bring in the stocks and then just sell whatever the manufacturers are selling. What we do is we ask what you want and we make something for you. A little bit different from the traditional method. So, in the X at the back, we are always seeking for collaboration with you. It's to relax. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Do drop by my booth later. Thank you.